federal court system, sometimes they use what they call a strike method, where the plaintiffs will strike one and then the defense strike one. They do this a lot in different states around the country, too. I go down to Tennessee quite often and also in Kentucky.
Wow.
And they do it differently there.
Well, now it is really halftime, so hold these thoughts, class. We'll be right back in a moment to hear from our very special guests, LaDonna Carlton and Dan Compton. But first, you're listening to the Laura Dion-Jones Show on WRMN 1410 AM, and we would like to thank our very special sponsors.
That would include Dr. Claire Elias, has the jury sequestered here for a while. 2001 Larkin Avenue, that's the location for Dr. Claire, as you know. Let's all put our eyes, juries, if you will, all eyes on Diva. We know she's like the Lucy of radio, we found out, but she has perfect posture for this particular position we're looking at. The chiropractic work of Dr. Claire Elias. She is Exhibit A and a flawless exhibit, don't you think?
Absolutely.
I rest my case. It's Judge Wapner's birthday today or yesterday. That's
yes,
what we're
sure,
today. He's
No
92
way.
today, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes, it
that's
is.
why we're doing the show. Judge
Yes,
Wapner.
it is.
Judge Wapner. Yeah, 92.
Friend of yours?
Well, the TV legend, the first judge that was an institution.
Yeah.
And he was a friend of ours, too.
And
Also, of course, well, we've already made plans. The homes for the holidays. Get your pencils out right now. December 3rd, just simply go to www.ninaofelgin.org or call 847-814-3345. 7 historic homes on tour. And they'll be dressed and the homes will be in holiday garb. That's all. Yes, it really is.
where are they
rest
going to
my
find a
case.
dress that big?
If you might. Nice job, Lucy. Registration at Sherman, 934 Center. Come on out for that day. It's Saturday, December 3rd, home for the holidays.
That's the old Sherman.
Yes.
The old Sherman.
The old Sherman where Contagion the movie was big star.
Where
Contagion
Jeff
the
was
movie.
in Contagion.
They used, old Sherman was defunct, so they needed a hospital, so they used that facility for that movie.
You don't say.
Old Sherman, yeah, there's nothing in Old Sherman now, except there are some offices and other folks, yes.
And a big thanks to Snob Hounds and Casey Duell, weekly sponsors of ours, without whom our show would not be possible. Now, back to our guests. Nationally known jury selection expert, professional photographer, fitness and nutrition expert, LaDonna Carlton joins us, along with Dan Compton, local Fox Valley attorney. And let's finish some spirited courtroom talk before we do a little fitness talk. Is your face red? Are we embarrassing you? All of a sudden, your face is getting redder by the second. What's happening?
Women make me nervous.
I find that hard to believe.
I do, too. He looks like an altar boy, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
Those altar boys you got to watch out for. What are you fanning yourself?
Now you're turning red.
Yes, you are.
Okay, serious now. Does it help to know who a juror's favorite person is? Can you tell? One attorney once told me that. He asked this question.
I've never asked a juror who their favorite person is.
No?
No, I've never. Have you? Is that in your repertoire?
No, I never have. You might ask maybe, who they admire, or I don't even know. I've never even asked that. No.
Well, generally speaking, are jurors initially biased toward one side or the other?
I will tell you that what I tell my plaintiff's clients is, as a plaintiff, you're trying to talk 12 strangers into giving you money. Now, that may be something you like to do, give strangers money, but I don't think any 12 persons picked at random are going to be predisposed to want to give a stranger money. And therefore, I think the plaintiff has the harder time, and I think just in general, jurors are going to be predisposed to say, you're going to have to prove it to me.
Show me.
Show me. Prove it. And that's, I think LaDonna will agree, you'll hear a lot of people say exactly that. You'll have to prove it. And if a veneer person, if a potential juror says they'll have to prove it in response to a question, will you give money if I can prove my case, it's usually followed very quickly by crossing their arms, and then very quickly after that, they're on their way to the parking lot in their car.
Ooh, yippee, there's the
But
secret.
you're absolutely right. Most people don't want to just give away money without knowing why or having some passionate reason for doing so. And a lot of it has to do with the way our economy is today. And this is a reason that, I read the paper every day, I watch the news, wherever I'm going to be trying a jury, because whatever's going on in society, it shows up in the courtroom.
Oddly enough, people are a lot less generous than before the crash of 2008, and you take that into account.
No kidding.
They really are.
No kidding.
Oh, we've seen it. For plaintiffs in the year 2008 and 2009, the verdicts were very low, and a lot of them were not guilties, meaning the defendant was found not guilty. Because people get scared, they get worried about their own income and job loss and all that type of thing, and they think, sometimes it seems counterintuitive. If somebody's had an injury or they've received some money or whatever, you might think, wow, they'd be great for a plaintiff. Not always. Yeah. They want somebody to prove it. They're not out there to make somebody rich. They really aren't. You're absolutely right, Dan.
People with some turmoil in their own lives, if you're looking for a job and if your savings are gone and if your family's falling apart and if you're facing foreclosure, you're not going to be all that predisposed to help out somebody else financially. And that goes for jurors as well as everyone else in everyday life.
Let me ask a hypothetical question involving a high-profile case, if you guys don't mind. If Drew Peterson were to face a jury in the murder of his ex-wife, Kathleen Savio, and you were selecting jurors for the defense, what would you look for?
Someone that didn't know anything about the case. That hadn't seen him on television.
Who hasn't seen him on TV, though?
I know. There may be a lot of people who haven't, but, it's going to be a difficult thing, probably, to get a fair jury in that trial.
It will be terrifically difficult. Yeah. Do you remember the O.J. Simpson knock-knock joke?
What?
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson? Who?
You're on the jury.
There you go.
Knock-knock. Who's there?
Yeah.
Drew Peterson.
They're on the jury. It will be extremely difficult for him to get a fair jury, and I think a big part of the reason is that most of the press assumes he did it.
The farther out this goes, though, the less that people will know. Maybe some of the younger people coming up won't have heard about this. So I think it's to his advantage to not be tried immediately, and so that would help.
Justice delayed is sometimes the best justice for a defendant.
It certainly is.
Really?
Yeah.
Give me a for instance.
Drew Peterson. Are you paying attention?
Besides Drew Peterson. I could tell that was a quote from Benjamin Franklin days. Come on.
What, justice delayed is the best justice?
Yes.
I think he just made that up. I've never heard that before.
Okay, then if she's never heard it,
he just made that up.
You made it up.
All right. Write it down. You caught me.
There you go.
I'm wondering if being a jury consultant involves more than just the selection of the jury.
Well, it does. We do a lot of research ahead of time before we get into the jury selection process. We do mock trials and focus groups where we actually get surrogate jurors to come in and we do sort of a summary presentation sometimes and figure out the best way to present something, because ultimately cases are won on facts. But let's face it, it's the way you present those facts is the way, that's going to make a difference sometimes. So we do that, and sometimes we get some ideas ahead of time, what type of person might be more receptive, where you might find out something's a little counterintuitive. Say you've got a client that has a 5-year-old child that runs out in the street and gets hit by a car, and you think, well, I want mothers on my jury, to help, because they're going to be more compassionate about this child. It doesn't always work out that way. Some mothers would say, I can't believe this mother wouldn't have been watching her child, and I would never let mine run out in the street. So, you learn a few things like that. So not all cases get that type of treatment, but we do that sometimes.
Do you have something you want to add, sir?
Well, certainly. I think one thing that LaDonna's pointed out is that you develop a theory of your case, whether plaintiff or defendant, and then you look for people that are going to react to not only your plaintiff but your witnesses. And I think one of the things LaDonna does is witness preparation, and it can be important. If you're talking to a juror, and you think that you have a couple of witnesses that just because of this person's background, they're going to eat him up, they're going to believe his or her testimony, it's something you have to consider. I think a lot of lawyers don't. They forget that beyond the facts of the case, they're going to be calling as witnesses people that the jurors may identify with. And if you got a really terrific witness for the plaintiff or defense, you should be thinking about that when you're picking the jury. Is this person going to like my police officer, my expert, my lay witness who's an accountant or a businessman? Are they going to find my witnesses credible? So I think the witness preparation, how you're going to present the case, has to be thought of ahead of time.
Do you, either of you, ever regret any of your juror choices as the trial goes on?
Well, sometimes I've misread one or two. Believe it or not, I've had a really good track record. Now, I don't keep track of all of them, as far as writing them all down, but I've only had a few cases where they've just out and out lost. Sometimes it's been a hung jury or a mistrial, and a lot of that has to do with what's allowed in the courtroom today. One was a mistrial because somebody went on the internet to look something up, and this was like 10 years ago when this was pretty new. And now the judges all today say, you cannot read a paper about this, you can't go on
your
the
smartphone
line. You can't do anything like that. If you do, you can cause a mistrial in the case. So, you do miss people sometimes.
You have a question, Valerie? Ask.
My son had been selected for 2 juries separately, both murder trials, by the time he was 29. What's he doing that makes him so popular to be on a jury for a murder trial?
At that age.
Well, I don't know that he's so popular. I mean, he it's just the luck of the draw that he got selected to be in the pool in the first place that often, But
computerized.
Yeah, it is computerized. It's computerized. They use like 4 lists in Cook County. They use.
He got selected to be on the jury both times.
Well, I don't know what his personality type is or his behavior or how he does, but he probably comes across as being someone who is either going to, listen to the facts, or somebody who's not going to make waves, who will kind of go along with the majority of people. I don't know. Sometimes you think about people like that too, how they're going to react in a small group setting,
Next time, tell your son to cross his arms and say they wouldn't have arrested him if he didn't do anything. And there
that
you go.
would do
That
it.
should-
Hey,
that
Dan, stop that. We don't want to have these people out there that belong on a jury not even getting to first base.
Some of us want to be on a jury, just so you know.
That's
yes,
what
I
I'm
know.
getting
Well,
at.
and something, we have to be aware of that too. Some people have their own agenda.
You've got to have a pool.
Oh, and that's why you have to have, you were asking a question, would you take this person based on this one question that you'd asked earlier? You don't take a juror for just one question. It takes building a profile, and that's why you have to have quite a few questions for them to answer, and open-ended questions, so you get a little better feel. But let's face it, we are doing observable behavior here. We're not delving into their personality backgrounds. We don't have their value system and their, we can get an overt attitude out of them sometimes, but, that's why you sometimes miss a juror, because they can be hiding those things.
See, I could be hiding them behind my...
Oh, you would never be able to hide anything. We know you better.
There are things you simply can't ask the jury. You can't ask them if they've been on a jury before. You can't ask them the result of the jury deliberations. You can't ask them the political party. There's various things that the law says you can't delve into. One of the things I think, if I had to ask one question that's akin to who's your favorite person, there are several lawyers that ask magazines, where they get their news source, what magazines they have, or what bumper stickers they have on their car.
Gee, I like to know that about people, because it gives you some kind of common ground. Don't I? A lot of times I'll ask people what they read, right?
Yes.
What's your favorite news source? What bumper sticker do you have on your car?
I've got
Counselor.
no bumper stickers on
Most
my
people
car.
don't have bumper
Oh, how
stickers
boring.
anymore. They used to.
But if they have bumper stickers, it
Yeah.
probably boils down their emotional and political beliefs into 4 or 5 words.
Another good question to ask is if they've ever written a letter to the editor of a news publication or to a public figure, like their senators and things like that. That tells you a lot. That you'll find out if they're tree huggers or whether they're complaining to the city about the garbage pickup, you name it.
Or just complainers in general?
Yeah.
Can you ask religious questions?
You can ask if there is anything religiously or philosophically. That's easy for you to say. You can ask them whether they have any beliefs that would make it difficult for them to sit in judgment over another or in judgment on a case. But otherwise, unless it's germane to the case, if you're representing a plaintiff who's been molested by a priest, certainly Catholicism is going to be an issue. But by and large, no, you can't just say, are you a Baptist, are you a Protestant?
How about sexual preference?
I don't know any lawyer brave enough to ask a
I don't know why that would make a
preference.
difference anyway. Because,
I'm just
yeah,
asking.
I know, but I don't think that would ever be asked. But there are certain things, and you can explain this better than I can. It's the Batson ruling, where you cannot excuse people based on their race, gender, or religion. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's anything else.
It doesn't come up all that often in
How about if they're another
civil
attorney?
cases.
Do lawyers make good jurors?
I don't think so.
I wouldn't want a lawyer on the jury that I picked. You don't want somebody back there judging the way the lawyers are doing their case. Even if they're a real estate lawyer or some other type of lawyer, there again, you're going to have jurors potentially defer to that person.
I've heard that attorneys like to determine which individuals will emerge as leaders on a jury. Why is that important, and how do you tell which one would be the best leader? Now, I'm a real good leader, and you telling me you don't want me on the jury?
That's
I'd have
right.
them all
Well,
whipped into shape in that jury room.
Well, that's right. You would try to be a one-woman band back there. No.
No, I would not.
No. You know what? There are leaders, and you can usually tell whether somebody's going to be a leader or not. Everybody asks me, can you pick the four-person? Well, I can't really pick the four-person, but there are usually one or two, maybe three, usually two or three, I would say, leader-type people. Mm-hmm. And yes, you do try to figure out who's going to hang with this person, who's going to go along. They're going to be influential.
I'm not a follower, though. Sometimes when there's, you see jury deliberations, there's one holdout, and if I believe strongly, and say if I believe with the one holdout, I would have been the holdout. I mean, I'll sit there for 7 weeks.
And you're sitting around asking lawyers to put you on a jury?
Oh.
I don't think so.
Dismissed you.
Oh.
You've been dismissed.
You've already been dismissed, Laura.
So
no, that's true.
Laura's point is a good one, though, because there's no unimportant juror because everybody's got to vote.
Everybody's got to vote, and
That's
boy,
right.
I'll tell you something. If I think the guy absolutely rock bottom did it, you are not going to convince me he didn't. If the glove don't fit, that glove shrunk because of all the blood. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. Is that enough trial talk for now? So we could delve into a couple other little things before we have to say
I have a couple
adios.
more questions.
Well, spill them.
Convicted felons, can they be on a jury?
No,
Civil
they
or
can't
criminal?
be on a jury. And I think that's recently with the Cellini trial, they've discovered a felon on the jury, and very good grounds for mistrial.
How about convicted misdemeanor?
No, I don't think you can.
Well, you know what? I have had it's an interesting case that we have had jurors that disclose on their juror forms that they do have a DUI or some other misdemeanor, and the lawyers can ask, and most judges will dismiss them for cause without any further question or peremptory. But I find that a lot of lawyers really don't sweat the small stuff. If you're worrying that a guy with a conviction for DUI is going to be a problem in your jury, maybe you have some bigger problems in your case, plaintiff or defense.
And even if a potential juror has a case pending in the court system, like in Cook County, they will be excused by the judge as well.
And my last question to you, do you have all the potential jurors fill out questionnaires so you know who they are before they walk in, and then is it mandatory that you do a personal interview with them as well?
Well, the court, every court has some sort of jury form that they fill out, whether they have friend or family members that are a lawyer, whether they have a current or past lawsuit, whether they've been a plaintiff, whether they've been a defendant, their occupation, their age, generally children, education. So you have a skeletal sketch. And by and large, you are handed those right before you start picking the jury, and you furiously are flipping through them, which, when you think about it, is a reason where if you're going to have a case for a big dollar, that you might want a jury consultant. Other jurors or other cases, though, really you just want someone that has a pulse.
And doesn't dress like a diva.
I've only been a couple of times in Cook County when we've been able to get in what they call a supplemental juror questionnaire. And those where we actually have maybe, 30, 40 questions on it. If it's a huge case and something where we feel like there's a lot of bias, a lot of concern out there, prejudice perhaps, there's only been a couple of times when the judges have allowed that. And then they bring the panel in and they have them fill it out, and then they will do copies of it for both sides. But here in Cook County, you normally, like Dan said, they hand you the cards that are very, very limited information. So you do have to voir dire them in open court.
And you have to have a real good gut intuition, I think.
Well, you do. Yes, you do. And experience helps. That's how you form that gut feeling. But the reason that you do that is because, you don't have time to do a thorough investigation. You can't interview each person all day long, just one at a time,
I see.
Unless it's a death penalty case or something like that.
Well, I wouldn't want to be on that. Anybody else have any more questions? Jeff, Valerie, Mike, you have any questions of LaDonna? LaDonna, do you have any questions of Dan? Because I want to move along here.
Oh, move it along. Go ahead.
Well, I have one question.
Go ahead.
Since, as I told you before we started, I've never been given the opportunity to make a fool of myself on the radio.
Go ahead.
Let's go for it.
I'm about to say hello to Lori in case she's listening. I've been married 32 years, and I love her very much. So there you go.
Oh, that was sweet.
Is it your anniversary?
No.
Better yet.
Right.
Sweeter yet, eh?
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
To you.
Even though it's not, but that was a nice thing for him to say. So let's quickly switch gears here because we're running out of time. In 2011, 366 million people worldwide were diagnosed with diabetes. By 2030, it is estimated that 552 million people will have diabetes. This means that 1 in every 10 people on the planet will have diabetes by 2030. Diet and lifestyle changes are blamed as the biggest culprits. All of the more reason to commit to get fit with Laura and my Commit to Get Fit Elgin's Biggest Loser program that will begin again on January 4th every Wednesday from 5 to 6:30. Location to be determined, so please email me. Good segue. At Laura Dion, at DionJones@AOL.com. And let me just say that LaDonna is very much admired at our health club because she's now taken on another quest, and that of fitness and good nutrition. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to have her here today. And she's also developed a healthy eating guide that I'm going to be using excerpts of in my own Commit to Get Fit program. So let's talk a little bit about some of your health and fitness tips. And Dan, I want you to please feel free to jump in here because I could tell you're an athletic kind of guy. Do you do daily cardio, by the way?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I get all my carbs from beer.
Well, at least he's honest, eh?
Hey, you see, you can do it.
Yeah, see?
Listen, does it really matter, LaDonna, what you put into your body as far as foods that help heal?
It certainly does. And you know what? I can attest to that just this week. I decided to take up running again after 12 years. And on Sunday, I hurt my foot. And I thought I might have had a stress fracture. Mm-hmm. And it was all swollen. And I just put it up and everything. I put my leg up so that it would, not continue to swell. I started eating broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and cabbage. Those are the healing vegetables. And I had a great diet of lots of vegetables, fruits, and fish. I don't eat a lot of chicken and all the other things, and I don't eat red meat. But I made sure I had enough protein, and I really watched very carefully. I do every day, but I was especially careful. Do you know that the swelling has gone down, and I don't have to wear that boot any longer?
Oh, God.
And this is, what day is this, Wednesday?
Oh, my
3
goodness.
days.
We have to
and
talk.
I swear it works. I've seen it with a lot of friends who've had other illnesses, and as you know, I've had family members and friends who've had some very serious illnesses.
And you've helped them cure with food.
Well, that and other things.
Oh, sure.
Good
nutrition.
Like lifestyle, nutrition, exercise is extremely important.
Do you think that, how do you feel, each of you, about giving our listeners a really terrific holiday fitness tip? Can you come up with anything other than hauling those kegs into your basement?
No one's ever twisted an ankle sitting on their couch. I'm sorry to admit.
I'll give them the name of a book they can go get. It's called Younger Next Year.
Ooh,
I think you should. I knew you were going to ask me that.
Younger Next Year.
Yes. I can't remember the author's name.
We got to get him on the show.
You should. Anyway, it's got a lot of great tips in there, things that I've been practicing for a long time. But it's great to be, have some inspiration again and things like that. So the exercise is extremely important in making your body function properly and, digest and all that kind of stuff.
I just lost my train of thought here, and I'm very sorry. What's your plans for the future, Dan?
Well, I've been so dynamic and moving about that I think I will continue to practice law in Elgin for the next 15 years or so.
And you?
Wow. Well, I have a lot of things going on. I'm going to continue doing the trial consulting. I really like it. Believe it or not, I like lawyers. And I enjoy working with them.
Believe it or not.
I mean, a lot of people don't. Let's face it, they have a bad reputation.
I think you have a character flaw.
You're probably
character
right.
flaw.
I do.
What's the secret to your success?
Perseverance, probably, and the fact that I'm pretty disciplined and I read a lot, and I don't know, I stay interested in life. Curiosity, all those things make people successful.
Well, that's good. It keeps you young, too. What's the secret to your success?
Well, as a lawyer, honest to gosh, I think it was a couple of years I spent selling copiers. Nothing gets you ready to think on your feet.
Yes.
And take the disdain that most lawyers get than selling something. And it's served me well.
You know, that's how you learn the power of persuasion, and that's what lawyers have to be good at when they enter that courtroom. So I'm sure it was one of the best training grounds you ever had.
It was terrific.
Yeah.
What's your professional mantra?
I don't have one.
I find that hard to believe with your strong opinions.
Well, you should have let me think about it for a while.
Somebody's trying to call me. Should I take this call?
Oh, I don't know.
Is this for your open line here, or is
Let me
this
see,
just
I
a
don't
personal
know.
call?
Younger Next Year
Laura's
is
here.
written
May I
by
help you?
Chris Crowley.
There you
I
go.
looked that up.
Thank you.
On the
Yes,
internet.
hello?
Sometimes those things just drive you crazy when you don't know. Chris Crowley, and the book is Younger.
He's
Next
current.
Year.
Is he alive now?
Now,
Is it?
there's also written by a doctor. What's his name? Dr. Harry somebody. There's two of them.
I
Two
didn't
authors.
Look that up. And we do have a phone call at 847-931-1410 if you want to take a couple of phone
Sure,
calls.
quick.
Let's go to the phone lines and let's say hello and good afternoon to Julie.
Happy anniversary, Laura.
Why,
Good
thank you
show.
so much. I recognize this voice. Thank you again.
2 years, holy moly, where's the time gone?
I don't
I'm
know.
so happy for you.
But thank you very much. I missed
Keep
you.
up the great work.
Thank you so much. Thanks for calling, Jules. We're
Good
running out
show
of time.
today. Good guest.
Thank
Hi,
you.
guest. Great show always, Laura. You just keep doing it.
Thank you,
You're doing
sweetheart.
great.
Thank
Thank you. Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Bye.
Who's next?
No one's next. That was the only one we had.
Oh, you said a couple.
Dr. Harry Lodge.
Dr.
Harry
Harry
Lodge,
Lodge.
okay.
That was a terrific question.
It was.
Well, you know something, we're out of time. Dan, LaDonna, I wanna thank you guys for being with us today. I hope it was worth you coming
Oh, it was a blast.
down here, and I hope you'll come back. LaDonna, you got to come back on so we
I
can talk
will.
more fitness. And we're running out of time. You're listening to the Laura Dion-Jones Show every Wednesday on WRMN 1410 a.m. 3 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we'd like to thank everyone for being with us today. My gang, Jeff, Mike, Valerie, the Swan. Of course, all you loyal listeners, thanks for being with us. Dan Compton, didn't even have to look at my notes. LaDonna Carlton, thank you again for being here. Today's show was today's show, Snork, has
Time
been
to go.
brought to you by I don't know what I'm talking about. We're Dr. Clara Leos, Snobhounds. Thanks again, Casey, for making this show possible. And also, as our dear old friend John Adams would say, yes, that John Adams counselor, in my many years, I have come to a conclusion that 1 useless man is a shame, 2 is a law firm, and 3 or more is a Congress. I'm just saying,
Oh, my
kids.
goodness.
Thanks for listening. See you next week. I had to do it. Your face is
beautiful.
ready again. We absolutely love being here with you. Hey, Mike, thanks for the incredible, happy, and speechlessness. And let's keep all of our troops over in the Middle East and around the globe in our prayers, and especially now that the holidays are almost here, how about sending them some care packages? And now, Prince's I Would Die For You. Download it and get your butts walking. Terrific ski tune, too. Semper Fi, kids. Peace. We'll see you next week.
I'm something that you live